Greetings. I was asked in a message either a day or a week ago or a month ago to go over my Ableton template. This template is it's basically launched every time I open Ableton, and every time I open Ableton, it's the same thing. By default, you get one audio and then one MIDI track, but I have some basic, you know, basic things I always like to start out with. So, top to bottom, every audio track has an EQ8 and a compressor, and that goes for all of them. So basically, these two channels I reserve for crashes or maybe white noise sweeps. Usually high-end stuff. I work my way down. Um, my kind of workflow is high-end hits on the top, uh, and then kick, and then bass, and then leads, and then percussion, and then maybe more, maybe other kind of effects or like hits or reverb kicks and whatnot. And I start from the top to the bottom, and that's basically how I make the tracks. So these two blue ones, we'll just say, are for crashes. Now I have a piece of outboard gear, which is muted here, right? It'll open, yeah, and it's a virus, and it has four part multi-timbral, but I only use three, and it goes over USB, so I only use the three of the four parts. Um, and usually I don't need to go over three, but if I do, I just bounce them out or record them. So there's the three here. So what happens is, this is muted. This is just a placeholder for the VST. So what happens is I have the MIDI 1, 2, and 3. Each of these goes into their corresponding part. So that makes sense. We have the first part here. It's going into the first part. Second MIDI strip goes into the second one, and third goes into that one. And if you notice, basically what happens is the MIDI goes in to the virus, and then the sound gets outputted to these three. So these three MIDI go into the virus and then come back into these separate audio channels, and you'll see that. So one corresponds with one, and then two corresponds with two, and then three, corresponds with three. And when I have all my MIDI and all that fun stuff inputted in, I'll hit this nice little red button here, and I'll control click all these, arm it to record, and then record it. It's a pain to do this every time you open it, so that's why you have a template. And I always have it's armed to the MIDI is armed for the first part, so I can quickly go in and make a virus patch. And I'll sometimes, if I don't use the virus, I'll just shift select all these and then delete it. And if I just want just to use another synth, usually my workflow or how I make music is it'll start off with an idea. That idea could be a percussive groove, it could be something with a virus, it could be something with a whole other synth, it could be psytrance, could be French house, hardcore, whatever. And sometimes I know if I'm going to use a virus, and if I'm not going to use it, I just get rid of it, because of the delay compensation. There's a bit of a delay, but Ableton compensates it very well, but it kind of affects the other sounds in it, slows me down a tiny bit. So yeah, that's the virus section, and it's all neat corresponding colors. And that's it. So usually, yeah. So after that, I have my anything audio section that goes from here all the way down, and I work my way down, and I organize them. It'll go kick, bass. It will go kick, usually bass, maybe another sound, the leads, or maybe the leads will stay on top of the kick. Just to organize them. Yeah, usually the leads will stay on top of this. I don't name them. And then percussion, and then other reverb kicks and whatnot. And every time I get too low and I run out of space, I just Command D, and I just duplicate, and I can just keep on duplicating as I need it, and just make more and more lanes. And each lane has EQ and the dynamics control. And usually I don't set up my groupings right away. If there's the percussion section, say if it's like 4, then I'll just select, assuming all these are percussion. We'll colorize them, or we'll give them a color, and we'll right click, and then we'll group, and then there we go, we have our group. And I can add, reverb, whatnot. I don't use sends. I'm not too into them. I don't know why, but I don't use them. And then I'll have this, and then I'll just like collapse it, and then I'll continue onwards. But that's basically how I set up my groups, and you can ungroup them. But yeah, and then yeah, I keep on going down. I'll record all the virus parts, and then arrange it. Oops, sorry. I'll arrange it, and that'll be all good. Usually for the sake of recording and making music in general, I'll bring this down a little bit, just so you're not getting clipping or any of that kind of nasty stuff. And I'll leave the cue as it is. And if I'm gonna do any panning, I just press tab and go in here and just bring levels down, bring them up, whatnot. So that brings me to my master section, and my master section is usually the same for every track. I have my EQ 8, but I have this high pass kind of roll off filter sweep thing, and I'll automate that for certain sweeps and stuff like that. It's a lot cleaner sounding than the auto filter, and it's good to roll off. Even if it's slightly, it's good to roll off the low end at around 30, and it adds to clarity and clears up a little bit of headroom, because I can't really hear that low ping pong delay and a reverb. Typical suspects: Ozone 5, the glue, lin plug. These are all turned off except the L2, just so you don't peak. This rolls off the low end, and it's just a default setting, and that's what I use to kind of make sure the low end doesn't crunch through speakers and shit like that. And the classical L2, just so I can see what's going on, and that's basically it. I'll automate this, and then I'll collapse them, and then I'll add maybe like a phaser or whatnot. And this template basically works for everything, and I have it set to 129 BPM, which is a good starting point, and I'll move it up and down depending on the genre. And yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, I hope that answered your question, and I hope you make your template as awesome as mine.